Alright, so today what I wanted to do was basically to do a recap of how to use OBS and the equipment needed to do live stream. So I just wanted to show you. So first, of course, we have the camera. Here I'm using a very small tripod. Now on this camera, on most cameras we have an output. So here there is like a HDMI output, and some other cameras it's not a full HDMI output, it's like a mini or micro HDMI. So we need to check, of course, before the stream and as we purchase or as we hire the equipment, what kind of output it is. And then we need, of course, to have the right connection, the right cable. So in my case, it's just a simple HDMI, big one to big one, that I am going to connect to that capture card. That's the one I think I talked about a few days ago. It's only like $15 and it worked very well. So on one side there's HDMI, on the other side there is USB. So I simply connect the cable to the capture card, the HDMI, and then to the camera. Then what can be handy as well is to have a hub, a USB-C hub. So that's a USB-C and it connects to a hub whereby I have multiple inputs. So here there is two USBs and one HDMI. The HDMI is an output. So here, if we want to connect our camera, let's assume we don't have any USB input on our laptop. We connect, so this is USB-C, so I'm going to connect it to the laptop, and on the hub I will connect my capture card that I've just wired with the HDMI. So every time there's a USB, a normal USB, the blue means it's faster than the normal one. It's USB 3.0, so always use the blue one on your laptop. So here I connect it. And then I connect it to my USB-C. So the other gadgets that we need to use, if we are not connected to the sound table, sometimes we are directly connected to the sound table of the technician of the play. If not, we can connect this to one of our cameras, which is an ambience microphone, to get the feedback of the audience. And then we can as well use these microphones that are wireless microphones on our actors. Hi, Innocent. Welcome.
Sorry, I just got it. Thank you.
So in that case, since I'm alone, I'm going to put it on myself. The microphone is on top, on this one, so I make sure that the mic is pointing on towards me, so as to have good sound. Then I'm going to put the receiver on the camera. We are doing a recap today, Innocent, about how to use OBS and the technicalities of the equipment. So I was just showing that before you arrive, that I am using a USB-C hub. I have different USB inputs. on it. Some hubs have more inputs. I was stressing the fact that the blue USB-C is faster than the gray USB. Sorry, the USB. The gray USB, the blue USB is faster than the gray USB. This is USB 3.0, so if you have different ports on your laptop, you need to use the blue ones, so as your transmission is faster. And then, from here, I connect this, which is my capture card, which has an HDMI input. So I connect on my hub. And then I connect the HDMI cable in the capture card. This HDMI cable is connected to the camera, to the output of the camera. So I'm connecting again the USB-C in the laptop. Then I was explaining that I will have two different types of sound. That I will have ambience sound to record the sound of the audience when they clap or when they react. And then on my actors, I will have this type of microphones. So right now I'm just using the webcam, right? So now we are going to switch to OBS. I'm first going to put the receiver of the sound on one of my cameras. So just a minute. So these receivers, they have a mini jack. So I'm putting the mini jack in the receiver, and then I will connect the mini jack to the camera. Alright, so now I'm going to open OBS. I'm going to share my screen. So I am starting OBS. Can you see well OBS?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I am still using the sound of my webcam because on Zoom, by default it's using the webcam sound. So I need to change that. So I go to my audio. And here you should know other microphone. Can you hear me better?
Yes, we can.
Okay.
Yes.
So I have changed my microphone on my Zoom. When you open the audio of Zoom, you can select your microphone. So by default, it will select your webcam. So now I'm going back to OBS. And I am going to make sure everything is connected. My two cameras are connected. So I have my scene which is empty by default. I'm going to add. First of all, sorry, the important thing is to check the general setting. So we are going into the file settings. And then what we want to know is what type of broadcast are we going to do? Do we want to do a broadcast in 16:9 format, which is the format of film usually, of video, of YouTube? Or do we want to do a broadcast for Instagram, for example? So here, by default, my base canvas resolution is set for YouTube, and my output resolution is set for YouTube, but it's set in a lower resolution. It's not full HD, so I can change that, and I can set it on full HD, and click on apply and OK. Now, if we want to set it for Instagram, if we want to have a vertical output, I will do File, still into Video, and here I'm going to change. I'm going to do the inverse. As you see here, the formats are all widescreens, horizontal. By default, you cannot select a vertical aspect ratio. So you need to type by yourself to be able to do a vertical output on your OBS. So you can type 1080, it's basically the inverse, by 1920. Again, the output has to be changed, 1080 by 1920. You click apply, OK, and as you can see now, my previous scene and program scene, I have vertical. So if I would broadcast on Instagram or any other platform, it would become vertical, a vertical video. So for today, I will continue, I will put it back into the normal setting, which is the horizontal setting. Now, what I want is my frame rate to be 25. 25 is a safe one. It's what we use most of the time in Africa and Europe. In America, it used to be 24, and as well as Japan. But for us, we want to use in 25. If we had a broadcast of sports, for example, action, we could set it more in maybe 50 or 59. Here, our play will need to be in 25. So I click on that and I apply. Meaning that all my cameras need to be set in 25 as well. So I go to my first scene. Let's assume my first scene, we want it to be one of the cameras. I'm going to rename it and to put camera 1. I go into my sources and then I click on the plus to add a source, which is a video capture device. So I'm going to call it cam 1. I press OK. And then here, my camera is there. I have different possible sources. I have USB capture HDMI, USB video, HD webcam, OBS virtual camera. So HD webcam is the webcam I was using to talk to you at the beginning of the lesson. And USB capture HDMI is my first camera, and USB video is my second camera. Right now, the camera is off, so it is not showing anything. If I switch it on, let's see what it does. Up. It is now on. So let me put it on the first camera. I press OK. And now it is there in my sources. At the moment, we don't have anything in the audio mixer. So as to have constantly the sound in the audio mixer, right now I have set up the sound via Zoom, but if I would be broadcasting on YouTube, I would have no sound right now. So I'm going to File Settings, Audio, and I'm going to enable a mic auxiliary audio, and I'm going to select HDMI USB capture HDMI. I press Apply, and now it appears here. So whatever I do now, it will always be there. Even if I change my scene, if I add another scene and there is something else but not the camera, that mic will always be on. I still need, actually I forgot to do that to be sure that it's always on, I still need to go into my advanced audio properties and set it as audio monitoring, monitor, and output. So now I have a feedback because my sound is high on my laptop. So I'm going to reduce it. Okay, I've done it. Now it should be better. So now let's look at the cameras. I see the feedback is still there. I'm going to reduce my sound on my laptop. Okay. All right. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
So now I am going to change the setting of the camera. First, I'm checking the chat. There's no question. Okay, we're all good. So now let me go to the setting of the camera. We see that the settings are not good. It's too dark. I also want to change the setting of zoom, so as I don't have a feedback. So I am going to check which microphone Zoom is using. I'm going to set it as cable input. Then I go back here. I put it like that. Now I should have no feedback. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me well? Or I have lost you?
No, we can hear you, Perry.
I can hear you.
You can answer to me in the chat. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, question. Can you hear me well?
Yes. Yes, we can hear you. CYRIL.
Audio. So here, okay. So now when I selected the microphone on Zoom, I selected my speaker as cable input. I needed to select it as speaker, and then the microphone was meant to be cable output. Can you hear me well now?
Yes, we hear you.
Okay,
Yes.
super. All right, super. So I'm going back to OBS. I'm going to change the camera settings now. I wanted you to guide me now of what I should do to have a better picture. So you can speak as I go behind the camera. What is the first setting I should be working on to have a better picture? You can let me know.
I think brightness.
Pardon?
Brightness. Brightness.
Yes. So how do I adjust the brightness? What is the settings that are linked to brightness on a camera?
The lens.
So as you can see on the down left of the camera, I'm going to put now the scene in full screen so as you can see well. I'm going to cut and then show you this in full screen. No, I should be in full screen. So you can see all the settings of the camera now. So the lower left setting where it's written 3.2 is my aperture. So yes, if I go at a lower number, I will have more brightness. But it is not the real setting that we want. We want to make the picture brighter, and there's a setting which is very important. It's the ISO setting. So I press on ISO, and here we can see that it was on 250 ISO. I'm going to crank up the ISO to possibly 1600. So remember, the first is the ISO. Then after, we have the shutter speed, the 50 here. So the shutter speed, as I explained to you in one of the first lessons, is always 50. Once we set our frame rate 25, it is double the frame rate. So in that case, we are working in 25 frames per second. So we need to set our shutter speed at 50. So here I can leave it. And then we have the aperture, that's 2.8. So that aperture, remember, the more it is open, and the less and the smaller my depth of field is. Meaning if I have my subject close to the camera and I focus on my subject, here I will have the background kind of out of focus. Especially if I open it more at 2.5. You can see that my background is out of focus. So here what we want is have a better focus even when I'm moving. So we are going to close the iris. Closing the iris at 8.0 will ensure that the depth of field is big. But here we still don't have enough light, so we can still crank up the ISO or add more lights on the stage. So here I'm going to try to find the balance. I'm going to set it at 4.5 and to make the focus on the chair. So what else do we have? We can see that the mic levels are there. So the mic levels, you can control it on your microphone device sometimes, on OBS, but as well as on the camera itself. So here, when I enter my menu, for example, I can see that if I scroll down the menu here, my mic level adjustment is the lowest I can put. So if I wanted more sound, I could increase that, but I will have more ambient sound. So usually, on such microphone, we always want to have it very low. So on the camera, we are going to set the mic level adjustment the lowest we can. Here I have a focus help, which we call peaking. That is why the box has a kind of red part. That small black box, it means it signifies that this is my focus point, that box. You can see as well that the background, the door on the upper left is also sharp, as well as my box. So if I come and sit on the chair, it should be quite in focus. I also have my white balance. So here we are in interior light. So here, if I put it higher, it's going to be warmer. If I put it lower, it will be closer to reality. So I'm using an interior light with a bit of natural ambient light. So I'm going to set it possibly in between the bulb and the sun. Because here, as you can see, if I pan, there's a bit of ambient light. And also we have that big light here to light the place. Any question at that point?
Maybe from me, I was trying to think which type of camera are you using when you're showing us this? Because maybe operating on different cameras to help us understand this as well.
So I'm using a Lumix camera, which is going to show you. I have two Lumix cameras. So this is Panasonic Lumix. This is the same as this one. The one I'm using right now is a G9, and the one that you can see is a GH5S. But what you have to know is all cameras have the same settings in a way. I mean, all of the DSLR cameras, they all have white balance, ISO, aperture, and shutter speed. Even the cameras that are not this kind of this type, even the bigger cameras, they all have, most of them have all these settings, which is white balance, shutter speed, ISO. So these are kind of constant in the video field. Of course, in the menu it might be different, but you will find all these settings, as long as you're in manual, of course. So I'm going back now. As you can see, the upper right, we have a symbol with a battery and a plug. Right now I'm using a USB-C. This camera can be plugged with USB-C. So as I am sure that the battery will not run out, on top of the battery, it's using the battery plus a USB-C charger. So most cameras, you can plug them directly on in power. But sometimes the DSLR's camera like that one, you might not be able, so you need to be sure the batteries are fully charged. And some of them, as that one, you can charge it via USB. So I think that is it for that camera. Let me go back the other side. Okay, so now I am actually going to remove the menu of the camera and to set the frame a bit higher. So I'm setting the frame a bit higher. I'm just using a basic tripod. You can see that I also have that green line in the middle to let me know if the camera is well balanced, if it's horizontal. If I move it like that, it will show you. Of course, on the tripod, there's also what we call a bulb, which indicate a level, which indicate if you're straight or not. So most of the time you want to be straight. Here I will go into my menu and I need to find how to remove the information. Is it off now? It is still on. Trying to find in the menu how to remove it. Should be in monitor display or maybe in the first menu. Here, info display, I set it off. So now it should be out. I still can see it on my camera, on the screen of my camera. But now the output is without. So we are now set. I'm going to remove the full screen. So I go back to my OBS, to my interface. So we have one camera right now. I'm also going to remove the sound of cam 1 because we have our auxiliary. We've set the sound of the camera into auxiliary. As I showed you, file settings, audio. We enabled a mic auxiliary audio, which is the mic of that camera. Why? Because if we create another scene with another camera, when I will switch to the other camera, to the other scene, that mic will not be on anymore. But of course, in our case, we want our microphones to be on all the time. So here we have our scene that I label camera 1. What we can do, create another scene. We are going to create 4 scenes with one camera. Let's assume that we are in a low budget production and we want with a low number of cameras, we want to have different angles. So let's assume this is a wide shot. I have created another scene here. I am going to click plus, and what you need to do is to select scene, insert scene, which is here. So in that scene, we have camera 1. So we select camera 1 and press OK. And now we can crop that scene. So I'm going to zoom on it and to select, let's say, the left part. You have to be careful here because if you create another scene and you select the camera, if you select video capture device and you select the same device, it will not work. So you have to create a scene in a scene. So again, I'm going to create another scene, camera 1, zoom middle. And again, I'm going to insert a scene in that scene, which is camera 1, right? So here, again, I'm going to zoom in, possibly on me. So I have my full scene, a zoom on the left, a zoom in the middle. Then again, I'm going to create another one, camera 1, zoom right, whereby I add a scene, which is still the same scene, camera 1. Again, I zoom. Let's assume there's someone on the right. Here we go. So somehow we have 4 angles with one camera. So now we can add our second camera. So I'm going to add another scene with camera 2. Again, I click on the plus, because remember, I have 2 cameras connected to the laptop. So I select my video capture device. I press OK. And I have a USB video, which is my other camera. I press OK. So we have 5 scenes right now. So this one is is a camera which has a zoom. So I can zoom out or zoom in. All right. So let's see about the preview now. If we don't have an external monitor and we want to do a preview of all our cameras, how do we do that? Do you remember? Can someone tell me how I do? Anyone? Right now, I can only see my normal interface, and then I also have another window with my full screen. If I reduce my first window, I will have that full screen. But how do I get a preview with all my sources? So I go to View, Multi-View, and I can put it in full. Multi-View, Display 1. Now it means I reduce my window and I have my multi-view. So now I can see all my sources. I can switch as I click on the sources. But it's still not going to the program out. I changed the preview, but it doesn't go to the program out. So what I'm going to do, assuming I don't have an external monitor again, I go back to here, and I am going to assign a hotkey. I will go to File Settings, Hotkeys, and here I have different possibilities. Each of them I can put a shortcut. So let's see which one do a cut. You see, I could assign a switch for each of my sources. I can as well assign in the transition. Let's see if in the transition we put C. C like cut. I apply. And now I can switch directly without having to press on transition. So if I go back to my multi-view, I can click and cut. So of course, having one screen is a bit challenging because you might not be able to, once the show starts, it could work somehow, but if you have a lot of medias to play, it might be a bit difficult, so it's better to have an additional screen, but still with that technique, you can still cut from one to another one. So here, I need to go back to my other studio. Any question? Now, let's assume that we saw in another lesson that we wanted to do sometimes some of the scenes in the play can have sound design. So what I'm going to do, I am going to import an audio track. And we see if we can mix our actor, which is me at the moment talking, as well as some ambient sound that we have created prior to that. So I'm going to click plus on my camera one. Okay, sorry, I go back to my camera one scene, I click plus, and I am going to insert a media source, which is going to be, let's say, soundtrack scene 1. I click OK. I browse, and here I have this. Press OK. So I am going to transit to it. Sorry, I can't hear you so well. I don't know if it was a question. So I have put a soundtrack, my soundtrack scene 1. Now the question is, can you hear it? Can you hear an ambience and my voice? Can you hear anything plus my voice, or you only hear my voice?
Only your voice.
Okay. So we go to the settings here, and we check what is happening. We have added a soundtrack. So I'm going to go into the properties. So soundtrack scene 1 is not monitored. So I am and it's not in output. So I'm going to put it in monitor and output, which I have done now. Let me cross-check that I did it well. Soundtrack scene 1, monitor and output is on. Now I'm going back to my scene 1, and I'm right-clicking on it, properties, and I'm going to set it in loop. I click OK. Now, can you hear the sound on top of my voice?
Yes.
So now, here is the trick here. I am on my camera 1. I wanted, at that moment of the play, to have that sound design, right? So of course I can lower it here or increase it. But now, if I go to my camera 1 zoom left, and I click on, and I transit to my camera 1 zoom left, can you still hear the soundtrack?
No.
No.
So what happened is, when you switch to a scene, still you cannot hear it here?
Now we can hear it.
You can hear it, huh? Or you cannot?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, meaning you can hear it.
Yes, we can hear it.
Okay. All right. So the setting was to go into the general property, to add the audio monitoring. Oh no, I understand why now. Sorry, I wanted to show you something else, but remember, all my scenes here are connected to my first scene. All my, except camera 2. So possibly if I go to camera 2 and I transit to it, no, you cannot hear it anymore.
No.
You cannot hear it anymore, and I forgot to mute the ambience of my camera, so here I have muted it. So you cannot hear it anymore because it simply stopped when you change from scene to scene. But of course, in that case, we wanted to be able to shift from one camera angle to another one and still have our sound design. So what you have to do is to actually copy and paste on all your scenes. The same sound design. So here, in my camera 2, I'm going to add a media source, which is my intro wave. Sorry, let me redo it. I'm going to add a media source, and I click on Add Existing Soundtrack Scene 1. So now, here, we are back with the soundtrack, right?
Yes.
Now, if I click to my camera 2, hopefully it will still remain and not cut and go back to restart. It should just be flawless. Now, has it been flawless?
Yes.
Okay, that is it. So you need to do that once you want your ambience to remain on all your scenes. As you switch from one camera to another one, you need to set it like that. Of course, sometimes your sound design, you might not be the ones to play it back. It might be another technician. And as I was explaining, you might not even handle all the sound. You might do the sounds. Maybe a sound technician will do it on the main mixer and send you the full sound already pre-mixed. But this is in the case you have to do everything, in case the production is small, and you have to handle both sound design, playback, and as well as the mic of the actors. So I have not yet put this one. I was explaining at the beginning of the lesson that it's also good to have an ambience mic on one of the camera at a low level, so as we can have also the feeling of the audience. So I'm going to set it up on my camera too. I'm just mounting it on the camera too, putting it in. I switch it on. So right now there's no change of sound because camera 2 is off. So now if I want it, again, I'm going to my global sound settings. I go to File, Settings, I go to Audio, and I'm going to enable it in a mic auxiliary audio 2. Let me see which one it is. First I cancel, I go to my scene camera 2. So on my scene camera 2, I have video capture device. Right now it is sorry, just a minute. Okay, sorry for that. I'm going to my camera 2 scene. It's the video capture device, which has the sound. I'm going to increase it. So now I have both ambience and my lapel mic, my wireless mic that I have on me. I'm going to check the settings of that video capture device. It appears here, but it's in monitor off, so it is not yet active. So I have to put it on monitor and output. I close, and now it should be mixed. Both sounds should be mixed. Do you hear a difference with the ambient sound on? If I go to my setting, audio, I still need to set it in mic auxiliary 2. Which is this one, digital audio interface, USB digital audio. So as it stays there on all my scenes when I switch from one scene to another one. So it appears as mic aux 2. Now I can mute that one, video capture device. Now I have two auxiliaries. One is my good sound, the one I have on myself, and another one is ambient sound. So if
We
But
don't
I
hear.
have. Sorry.
so now I am back here. When I put it back up, you can hear me clearly. The other one is really low. We can see it is in minus 20. Possibly if I tap on it. Do you hear anything when I tap on it?
No, I don't.
You don't, huh? So something is wrong. What is wrong? If I go back to my advanced audio properties, I see that mic auxiliary 2 is not outputting. So I set it in monitor and output. I close. Now, hopefully you should be hearing something.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Yes.
So, even if you can see the curves moving within OBS, it doesn't mean that you're outputting it or monitoring it. So it's very important every time. So I'm going to remove it. It was just to show you that. It's very important every time to cross-check your advanced audio properties. So the auxiliary microphones, in the advanced audio properties, you need to set your mic as auxiliary with monitor and output. Any question at that point?
Yes, I have a question. When you put music on all your scene, we
Yes.
could hear you. We could hear you. How is that? You use your Zoom on laptop, and I guess it's through laptop.
You could hear me as well as the music, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I am outputting the sounds of OBS into Zoom. So now I can mix all my audios.
But
That's
how
the
you
idea, right?
record? How you record that sound of voice through
So now
Zoom?
I have put back the sound design. You can hear it, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So the idea is that you have multiple sound sources that you can mix at the same time. If I had another actor, let's say, I would have put my other mic on the other actor, and then I would have been able to have different actors with very good sound at the same time. So your question was what? How do I what?
How you able to be heard when music is played? I mean, now in this occasion through Zoom. You connect your magnet microphone to other camera
Yes.
or to laptop. But on one camera there was 4 scenes, and the other one didn't have microphone.
Currently, I have 5 scenes, right?
Yes.
But remember, I have set into my advanced settings that my mic auxiliary 1 is sending, is outputting to my Zoom or to any other place, and I can monitor it. even though I am not on that specific scene.
Okay, thank you.
So to do that, I did File Settings, Audio, and I set my mic auxiliaries, Global Audio Device. I set my mic's auxiliaries to what I want. So the first one was, this is called HDMI USB capture because my camera one, I've connected my good sounds. This one here is connected to my camera one. The device that is connecting the camera to the laptop is recognized as USB capture HDMI. That's what I showed you at the beginning of the lesson. It is like a capture card. So I have set it to be in mic auxiliary audio. Then in audio 2, I have set my other capture card sound. I press OK. And then after here, on my advanced audio properties, I made sure that both mic auxiliaries are monitor and output. By default, I need to set it in monitor and output, both auxiliaries. So whatever I do now, even if I change my scene to, let's say, a video that I want to play, I can still talk as that video is playing. You will still hear my voice.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So now let's assume, what else do we need to have a good broadcast? We want sometimes to be able to add some layers on top of the actors, let's say the name tag, for example. So for example, here I can add some other sources on that one. Let's imagine that this one is focusing on one of the actors. I am going to add an image, which can be name actor 1. Then I am going to browse into my images. For example, here, lesson 4. So now we can see that it has come above, yeah? It has come above only on that scene, because I only placed it on that scene. Remember, to be able to do that, you need to use a software such as DaVinci or Photoshop or any other software that can record, that can save the file and keep the transparency of the file. In that case, it has to be a PNG, so as it keeps the transparency and can be put above myself. So any of you has OBS on the laptop open? Is anyone having OBS right now on his laptop?
No.
No one, no? So what I need you to do for the last 2 lessons, I was hoping today that maybe one of you has it, but I hope all of you has downloaded and installed OBS and that you're practicing. Now the target for the last 2 lessons is for you to show me that you know how to use the software in real time. So I am asking you to, for the next lesson, each of you is going to have 5 to 10 minutes to play around with the software and to show me that you've understood very well the software and you can use it for a broadcast. Even if you only have a webcam, if you have cameras, well, that's all good, that's better. But even if you only have a webcam, you can show me how you're going to create your scenes, how you're going to switch from one scene to the other. You see here with just one camera, we can have different, as if we simulate that we have different cameras. So yeah, that is the that is the objective for the next lesson.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yeah, you've shown us actually how you can do all these things at the same time. But I'm also
Yes.
wondering, for example, if I want to broadcast two different scenes at the same time, for example, that of the chair that we have, and then we have a scene of you, like in a small box in the lower left. You're talking about the image that you're broadcasting actually.
So to have a split screen, huh?
Yes, like having the broader screen, for example, the one of the chair as the wide screen, and then having you, a scene of you, like in the lower left or right, talking about the main scene that we're having actually. How can we have those two split scenes at the same time?
Okay, so here we are on camera 2. I am on my chair, yeah? I'm going to talk about the chair, so I'm on camera 2. I'm going to add, I go to the plus as usual, and I'm going to add a new scene. If you want to duplicate your cameras into different scenes, you need to insert scenes into scenes. So I am inserting a new scene here. I am selecting camera 1. Or if I want a close-up of myself, I can insert, let's say, camera 2 zoom middle. So I do that. It is not on top, right? So now I can reduce it and place it wherever I want. Yeah, I think that's it. Of course, here I had placed a name tag, so I can remove it. You can also see here that on my middle zoom, I had, okay, no, it's okay. So if I go back to that scene, I have a split screen.
Yes,
of course, you're welcome. Of course, I should have created a new scene. If I wanted to keep my camera 2 scene as it is, I would have created another scene and I would have inserted 2 scenes in it. You can see that it works like Photoshop or Premiere or any other software. The upper scene is always the one on top of all the others. In that case here, I have my camera 1 zoom middle, which is on top, so I need to reduce it. If I drag and drop it below, it disappears. So I can drag it back on top and it appears as a split screen. Do you have any other questions? Let me check on the chat if there's any questions. I can see, okay, sorry. I see that, yes, some of you just connected. I'm not sure that we were not aware. I want to apologize. We were not aware of the change in time in some of the countries. Slow because I am converting the previous recording as well as I'm recording now, but it should be okay. Let me go back to my shared screen. Okay. So yeah, I was asking you, is there any of you that just connected to the lesson, or you've been listening for since the beginning?
Hello, I connected on 5 o'clock. I didn't know that the meeting will be coming earlier. So sorry.
Is there anyone else who has missed the start of the lesson?
I also got connected a bit late. And Dragana Mitrovic also, I think, just connected.
Okay. So sorry for that. We were not aware there was a time change in your country. But I don't know if I restart. I think you will be able to watch it tomorrow. The idea, as I was explaining, is that for next lesson, the last 2 lessons, you will show me your knowledge of the software. So we will do sessions of 5 to 10 minutes per participant. So as I can be able to know if you know how to use the software. So you can use, as I was explaining, just a single camera, a webcam, or multiple cameras if you have. It won't change much the evaluation, I would say, as long as you manage to show me that you understand the software and that you can that you're ready to be using it. Is it clear?
You talk about OBS or the DaVinci Resolve?
There's someone who is sending some sound at the same time. I'm talking about OBS because since the beginning we have studied OBS to be able to do our live stream. So that is the software we have been studying. So that's the software you need to be using to show me that you've understood.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So you can prepare the best.
Ask a question?
Yes, please.
I was wondering what kind of materials should we prepare for that class?
So remember, you have live sources, which are cameras or webcam, or phone if you manage to input your phone into OBS, which is somehow possible but via a paid software. So that's why I didn't really talk about it too much, because at first I thought it would be possible via free softwares, but you might have to pay a software to be able to do that. So let's use webcams and cameras. And then as well, you need to use the materials you've prepared in the previous lessons, which are the titles that I asked you to design, as well as, mostly the title actually. I had asked you to design an intro title. So you can use that, or even if you have a kind of teaser or trailer, you can use that as well. As long as you show me that you can shift from one camera to another camera, or one angle to another angle with good sounds as you speak, as well as playing back another content, which can be the intro of your program, or a transition in your program. As well as if you want to impress me, you can add some name tags, you can add some overlays. You can reflect and think of how can I do to show what we have learned so far. You can even use LUTs if you want to show me that, for example, here within all my scenes, I could decide that one of the scene, let's imagine that on the play, there is one character which is a kind of magical character. and the other characters are normal characters. So I could decide that my colors remain the same, except when I point the camera towards one of the characters, which is maybe magical. So I could decide to add a LUT, as we saw in the previous lessons. I could decide to, if that character is actually a very old character, let's say I want to put it in black and white, then I can decide to have it in black and white, thanks to the LUTs or the real-time color corrections. As long as you show me and you're creative, you play around all that, then that would help. That would be great to see what you've learned so far.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, maybe. Can I say something?
Yes, please.
Yes, for those ones that are using phones, actually, there is a free software like another app that you can actually use called
Okay.
iRun.
All right.
iRun is IRIUN. You put it on your laptop and at the same time on your phone.
Okay.
When you open them together, it immediately switches to your phone. You can be able to view what's on your phone. And iRun as well can accommodate around 4 to 7 phones. So for those who will be
So
having phones, can try it out maybe.
Is it compatible with OBS?
Yes, at one point I tried using it and it was compatible. I just set it down as I put it in the scene, and when I went to the source, it was able to locate it. Yes.
Do you have it running right now on your? Are you on a laptop and with OBS? And you show us?
No, but maybe as you're still going on before we close, I can show it just to us very fast.
That would be very great, because the app I tried was not compatible with my phone. I'm using a Samsung S21, and it notified me that it was the paid version that was that would be working with my type of phone. So that would be very handy for all of us if you can show us what you discovered.
Okay, let me try to set it up as people bring in the questions.
Okay. Anyone having another question?
I have one small question. So you expect us to have live stream during the class?
Yes.
Or we? Yes. Okay. Okay.
So either you will be sharing your screen and showing me the OBS interface and play around with it. Either with Zoom, you can set OBS as a virtual camera. You see here, I can do start virtual camera. If I click on it, I have a virtual camera that is starting. And if I go to my Zoom and I change the video setting, let me check. I can select OBS virtual camera. So now you should be able to see what I'm broadcasting directly through OBS, like the output of OBS. Is it? Oh no, because I am screen sharing. So let me stop the share. No, I have stopped the share. So now you should see the output of OBS. Do you see that?
Yeah. Yes.
So that's what I was doing on all the first lessons, but I noticed that, in fact, Zoom is limiting the use of OBS, meaning the quality drops when I do that, because if I have 1 or 2 participants, the quality is super good. But as soon as there's more than 2 or 3, automatically Zoom reduce the quality of the broadcast. So that is why I've been using more screen sharing lately rather than the output of OBS. So now I'm going back to my screen sharing. Meanwhile, any other question?
I just want to say that the quality is good here. I can see you perfectly well. And also, I would like to ask for the PDF, if you have the class PDF, because I only have like the third, the sixth, and the eighth class. If you could send all the classes, will be good. Thank you.
So now the PDF, they are all available. Lesson 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They are all we've released all of them. So maybe I will again share all this PDF in the next email. Then the other question, sorry, your first question, I didn't hear well your first question.
I was saying that I can see you perfectly well. The quality is good here. I can see you well, even
Okay,
when you're outputting the image through OBS.
Through OBS. Okay. All right, that's good. Because I have seen, I went on the forums, because every time I would record the first few lessons, I had to replace sometimes some slides because the quality was dropping so much. And I saw on the forums that actually Zoom is limiting the OBS virtual camera, that it's automatically, as soon as there's more than 3 participants, it's, even if it is set in high definition, it set it automatically in 720p. So I was not sure. That's why I stopped to use too much the output of OBS. Of course, if you do...
The first lesson we had poor quality, but now in this class it's good. Maybe it was because of the internet. I don't know.
True, but even I could notice it when I would share slides, just static slides, even on lesson 2, 3, 4, 5, or when I remember that one of you told me that it was really poor, and I would notice it as I was recording that somehow it's just a still picture of a slide, and somehow the quality would drop. So somehow using the OBS virtual camera with Zoom, sometimes it's a bit strange. It's not as good as if we would be using YouTube or another software.
Great.
I don't know if your phone app has been set by now. I think it was Andrew. Was it Andrew?
I'm just setting it up, so shortly.
Okay, super. Any other question meanwhile? So let me try to change the setting of my preview and program out. So now to be able to change the setting, you need to stop your virtual camera. So I'm going to stop the virtual camera. I'm going to go back to my webcam. And let me check my screen sharing. Let me share my screen of OBS. Okay, I'm sharing again. So now I'm going to change the settings to see if I can broadcast vertically with Zoom. So I am going, as I showed you, I'm going to go to in the general setting. I went up, File, Settings. I am now going to Video, and I'm changing the general settings of both the base canvas resolution and output scale resolution. I'm going to input now 1080 by 1920, because it is the inverse of the normal horizontal resolution to be able to broadcast vertically for example, Instagram. So you can see the aspect ratio on the right part has changed. It's now written 9:16. Of course, the normal aspect ratio is 16:9. So now it has changed. I'm going to apply it. I click OK. Now we can see that it is not filling up vertically because my camera, especially my capture card, is an HD capture card. So somehow I told you that we can do a broadcast with some more affordable equipment. This one was around $20. If I had put possibly $100, I would have had a capture card that can capture 4K, so 2 times higher resolution than HD. And all my cameras are 4K, but right now I'm using these capture cards for HD. So now we can see that I receive a signal that is not high enough. It's wider, but not high enough. Not high enough, so I'm going to resize. I'm going to do that. And it should now be okay if I cut. And now I'm going to change now to go back on OBS. I'm going to set my camera as OBS virtual camera. So now I do that. What is it doing? It's not doing anything because I have not pressed on Start Virtual Camera on OBS. So I'm pressing on Start Virtual Camera, and here I am. So now the challenge, what's the challenge? I am sending vertical on Zoom, but Zoom by default, it seems that it's trying to put it back horizontal. So it is not really good. That's not what we wanted. Let me see if I can change that in the Zoom, if we have an option to do that. So inside the Zoom, I'm going to see if there's some general settings, video settings. I can see, I'm going to the general setting of Zoom, possibly because I started that meeting in horizontal. It is trying to put it back in horizontal. So this is not working so well. Let me go back in my OBS and let me put it back in the right settings. So I'm going to screen share again. Oh, I was already screen sharing. Okay. Because as you can see when I open, were you able to see the result in Zoom or not? If I do that, let me see.
Yes, yes.
You're seeing the problem. Okay. So let me stop the screen sharing. Let me restart the screen sharing. And then I go back to my normal format, which is here, file settings. And I go to my, okay, I need to stop my virtual camera. And I go to file settings. And I put back HD setting. Apply, okay, I'm back normal. We still have our split screen here. Something has changed because I think I resized my first, my camera one size. So let me put it back the way it was. It was just meant to fill the screen normally. Now the fact, you see that my first scene, camera one, when I put it like that, if I scroll to my other scenes now, everything has changed because all the scenes are based on that first scene. Because remember, I imported my first scene into the other scenes. So now the fact that I zoom in, it's changed all the other scenes, the framing of all the other scenes. So we need to be careful with that. Let me put it back the way it was. And now I am back to my normal setup. All right. So do you feel...
Can I share?
Yes, please share.
Okay.
Let me look where you are.
Okay.
I don't see you though.
You can't see Innocent there?
I don't see Innocent.
No, no.
You're
Let me
still
see.
sharing your screen, that's why I think.
Okay, I see you, but I see nothing.
Well, I wanted to share my screen, but okay, I think I can do that. Let me just get there.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I set up just a scene of Iran, and then the other one is the scene 2, which I have not named. That is the webcam of the laptop.
Yeah.
And when I go on to the one of the camera, okay, I think this is what I have to do. Yeah, are you seeing that of the phone?
Yeah, so that's your phone, right?
Yeah, this is my phone, and I can actually move it. If
Is
I
it
come
connected?
back,
Is it
no, it's
connected
here.
via Bluetooth or is it
Uh,
wired?
Now, when you connect to Iran,
Yeah.
both the one on your laptop and the one on your phone, they connect automatically.
So is it using Wi-Fi or Bluetooth?
I can't really tell. Maybe we can discuss that later on and we see how it
Okay,
actually
okay.
does the connection. I'm not so sure how
I'm
it is
sorry.
done.
I know that software it's connected through Wi-Fi. Iron.
Ah,
You have to connect your mobile on the same Wi-Fi as your laptop.
Okay, that's
okay.
great.
Yeah, so I think it's possible for some people to use the phones then.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you so
Okay,
much,
thank you.
Innocent. So
You're welcome.
again the spelling of the software is IRUN.
IRIUN.
RIIUN. Okay, great, super.
Yes,
Thank you so much. And
you're
do
welcome.
you notice? Can you go far from the laptop? What distance can you go of the laptop?
With the camera,
Yeah, with your phone. Can you go? How far can you go?
I haven't tried it out. I'll try it out later. I've just gone off my OBS. Sorry.
Okay, no problem. Okay, that's great
Yes.
to know. Thank you so much for participating.
Can
So
you
we will have the next lesson on Saturday, this Saturday. And as I was explaining, I expect you to show me a bit, each of you to show me what you can showcase with the knowledge you got from this course. So we will have sessions between 5 and 10 minutes. And yeah, looking forward to that.
Okay, thank you. So
You're
we will
welcome.
prepare.
Thank you too.
Thank you very much.
So for
I don't know if I'll
Serbian,
be available, but I can share my work.
Yes, Yasna, you wanted to say something?
yeah, I just wanted to check. So for Serbian participants, it should be 4 o'clock, right? Like today.
True. How is it for you? How is it for everyone? Do you want us to push the lesson of 1 hour, or it might be a bit challenging for me, but I could adapt if everyone is okay with it. I don't know since it's Saturday, is it okay to have it at 4 p.m. for you?
Yes, for me it's okay. I don't know.
Okay.
For
It's
others.
okay for me
Yes,
also.
it is okay.
Okay, great. So Fiona, I think you need to take notes and to make sure that you communicate the right time for European countries. We need to cross-check if Greece has changed the time or not. All right, thanks again. See you on Saturday.